This functional vet repairing a self-watering dog bowl. The screws in the back have already been removed. Has a lid. It has a float which is broken off. And right here, I don't know if you can see that. Right there, this was a 1/4 inch nylon thread onto this float. So it would actuate the float. I previously removed this nut. And here is the float mechanism right here that controls the on-off. As you can see, this is broken off in there. There's not enough to grab with a pair of pliers. So what I've done is I take and stick a knife into it, and I'm working this just like an ease out. And I remove my little short 1/4 inch plug. Now there's no way I'm going to be able to hook this back into that float. What I'll be doing is I'll be drilling this out and putting a 1/4 inch all thread into here, and then put a 1/4 inch all thread into here, and then my mechanism will work again. And this is adjustable so that you can control the amount of water that's in here based on this level. I'm not going to change it because it was, when it came from the factory, it was good. So the next thing to do is to drill this out, find my all thread, cut it to length, put it in here, put it in here, put this together, and call it quits. We'll come back as soon as I've got my all thread and I have it cut. I now cut a 3/8 inch bolt to size. I will inspect the threads to make sure everything's good. You can see this end right down here, needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but that one's in pretty good shape. As soon as this cools off, we'll drill a hole in this. We'll add some type of a glue in there, and we'll set this. We'll let it dry in the. It's full of water. We'll get the water out of this. We'll get some glue in here. We'll get this all dried up. Then we'll put this in, and then we'll put a little silicone as we thread it in, and then we'll hook it into the other one, then put it in, back into service. Using a tap, which is a 3/8 inch thread, which is this size right here. I now bore a hole into this. Now I'm going to need to enlarge this slightly, but we'll take care of that real quick. What I've done now is using a hand tap, I've forced this into here so that I've cut the threads, and it's beginning to work its way up. The threads are cut, so we're good. The next thing to do is to unscrew this, clean all these shavings off, thread the thing on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little expandable foam inside here and then thread this thing in, and I'll punch a little hole on this side so it can expand out on this end, and then I'll just clean that up. There's my hole. It's all threaded up. It's all ready to go. I'm using GE insulating foam. It says door and window, and it's a low expansion. It's not like Great Stuff. Great Stuff just blows out big time. I've got a friend who's just a real doll, and they asked me to do some experiments with this, and this is just one of several videos I'll be doing. The others will be private, since they're actually for them. They are disabled, as it were, and so the videos I'm going to be doing for them to show them how to use some stuff, it's more of a very personal nature, and I'm not going to be making that public. But what we're getting ready to do, now this thing does not say anything about shaking the living daylights out of it, which I've been doing. It does note that it's a low expansion, and it says to make sure that you shut off 5 seconds before you've put in when you're foaming back. And what we'll be doing is going into this float right here and filling it with foam and backing up. And we're going to want to stop somewhere around right here perhaps, and just let the foam go ahead and bubble out if it will. And then this area will be air sealed if there's anything in it. This will be sealed with foam this way, and then we'll have our dog water bowl repaired. And I will tell you, this is the cheapest piece of crud I've ever seen. Not happy with it. This you have to pull until you think the trigger is going to break. Great stuff is not that bad. So let's go ahead and start filling this up. Alright, let's turn this off and let it continue to fill with foam. By the way, the pink stuff is just regular, everyday tape used for flagging. It has stopped expanding for the most part, right there. And what we'll do is we'll now let this set up. Having removed the pink ribbon, I put just a bit more in because it was a hollow void inside here. I'm getting ready to cut this off, and as soon as I cut this off, I'll be reassembling it, and we'll be testing it to make sure that it works properly, and then we'll put it back into service. As far as the dogs are concerned, the heat out here is in the mid to high 90s. The humidity is also quite high, and so the dogs are really going through the water big time. So this will give the dogs. I have one dog that likes to dig all the water out of the water pan, or it's a 4-gallon bucket, very flat, and he'll get in there and dig every bit of it out. So I have to fill that thing sometimes up to 6 times a day. Well, this way I can set this where he can't dig it out, and the dogs will have water, because it is a pain trying to keep that thing filled with water. For testing purposes, I put a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch PVC fitting. This does not have Teflon tape on it, so it is going to leak like crazy. But all we're trying to do is find out if this float is working. And since I'll be moving this later, it's not a problem to come back and thread that. Again, it is temporary. So, does it work? It's slowly shutting off. The valve has shut off, and I told you it was going to leak because there's no Teflon. There's that, and here's the water about 3/4 of an inch deep. So it is back in service and working.